Moscow has issued a chilling warning: any military strike on Iran's Bushehr nuclear power plant could trigger a disaster rivaling Chernobyl. By invoking the world's most infamous nuclear accident, Russia is painting a terrifying picture of the fallout, one that could spread far beyond Iran's borders, threatening millions. The Bushehr plant, a symbol of Iran's nuclear ambitions, now sits at the center of a dangerous geopolitical standoff. As tensions escalate, the world must urgently consider how real is this threat and what can be done to prevent catastrophe. The Bushehr nuclear plant, perched dramatically on Iran's Persian Gulf coast, stands as a testament to decades of ambition, controversy, and international collaboration. Its gleaming domes and cooling towers rise from the desert, a symbol of both technological progress and geopolitical tension. The story of Bushehr is woven with intrigue and shifting alliances. For over 40 years, the plant has been at the center of global debates about nuclear power, non-proliferation, and regional security. Its journey from blueprint to reality mirrors the tumultuous history of modern Iran. Construction began in the 1970s when German engineers broke ground on what was envisioned as a showcase of Western technology. But after the 1979 Iranian Revolution, the project was abruptly abandoned, leaving behind a skeleton of concrete and steel, a stark reminder of how quickly political winds can shift. It wasn't until the 1990s that Russia stepped in, reviving the dormant project. Russian expertise and resources breathed new life into Bushehr, transforming it from a relic of the past into a functioning nuclear facility. This partnership marked a new era of cooperation between Moscow and Tehran, with both sides investing heavily in the plant's completion. Today, Bushehr operates as a VVER 1000 pressurized water reactor, a modern, powerful design known for its safety features and efficiency. The plant is equipped with advanced monitoring systems, and its operations are subject to rigorous oversight, reflecting the high stakes involved in nuclear energy. Russia not only supplies the nuclear fuel for Bushehr, but also retrieves the spent fuel, ensuring that sensitive materials remain under tight control. This arrangement makes Russia a direct stakeholder in the plant's safety and security, tying its interests closely to the facility's ongoing operation. On the ground, Russian technicians collaborate daily with their Iranian counterparts, sharing expertise and enforcing strict operational protocols. This joint effort is crucial for maintaining the plant's safety standards and for building trust between the two nations. The International Atomic Energy Agency, or IEA, maintains a constant presence at Bushehr. The plant is officially declared for civilian energy use, and its activities are closely monitored to ensure compliance with international agreements. Yet its strategic value means it is always under scrutiny, and in times of tension it could become a flashpoint or even a target. For Russia, Bushehr is far more than just an engineering project. It is a powerful symbol of Moscow's influence in the Middle East, a diplomatic asset and a red line that signals Russia's commitment to its allies and its interests in the region. In the event of war, even civilian infrastructure like Bushehr can become a pawn in a high-stakes geopolitical game. Its fate could have far-reaching consequences not just for Iran and Russia, but for the entire region and the world. Israel and Iran's shadow war has erupted into open conflict, with direct strikes and unprecedented escalation. An Israeli airstrike in Damascus killed top Iranian officials, prompting Iran to launch over 300 drones and missiles at Israel, a first in direct attacks. Most were intercepted, but the message was clear: the rules have changed. Israel's retaliation targeted military sites near Isfahan, home to sensitive nuclear facilities, signaling its reach. Now, with tit-for-tat attacks, the risk of a strike on Bushehr is no longer unthinkable. The region teeters on the edge where a single miscalculation could unleash disaster. Russia's warning must be seen in this volatile, unpredictable context. Russia's comparison of the Bushehr nuclear plant to Chernobyl is designed to provoke fear and alarm, but the reality is that these two reactors are fundamentally different in both design and safety. While the name Chernobyl conjures images of disaster and radioactive fallout, it's important to understand that the reactors at Chernobyl and Bushehr are worlds apart in almost every way that matters for safety and risk. The Chernobyl disaster in 1986 was catastrophic, largely because the RBMK reactor design was deeply flawed. Most notably, it lacked a containment building, a critical safety feature in modern reactors. When the explosion occurred, there was nothing to stop radioactive clouds from pouring directly into the atmosphere. contaminating vast areas of Europe and causing long-term health and environmental damage. In stark contrast, the Bushehr nuclear power plant uses a Vivir 1000 reactor, which is a modern pressurized water reactor. This reactor is housed inside a massive, reinforced containment dome, specifically engineered to trap radiation and prevent its release, even in the event of serious accidents. The design reflects decades of lessons learned from past nuclear incidents. Another key difference is the reactor's negative void coefficient. This means that if the reactor begins to overheat, the nuclear reaction naturally slows down, making it inherently safer. Unlike Chernobyl's design, which could accelerate out of control, Bushehr's reactor is built to shut itself down in dangerous situations, adding an extra layer of protection. However, all of these safety features are designed with accidents in mind, not acts of war. The threat of military strikes introduces a whole new set of dangers that no civilian nuclear plant is truly prepared for. In a conflict zone, the risks escalate dramatically. While containment domes are engineered to withstand natural disasters and internal failures, they are not invincible. Specialized bunker-busting bombs, designed to penetrate hardened structures, could breach even the thickest concrete, exposing the reactor core. If a military strike disables the plant's cooling systems, the reactor could overheat, potentially leading to a meltdown. And if the containment dome is compromised, radioactive material could escape into the environment, creating a crisis that rivals or even surpasses past nuclear disasters. Nuclear power plants are meticulously designed to handle technical failures, human error, and even some natural disasters. But they are not built to survive the chaos and destruction of a war zone, where deliberate attacks can target their most vulnerable points. Ultimately, even the safest and most modern reactor design cannot guarantee protection against a determined, sustained military assault. In war, the rules change, and so do the risks. Russia's warning is more than concern, it's strategy. As Bushehr's builder and fuel supplier, Russia's reputation and interests are on the line. A disaster would devastate Moscow's standing as a nuclear technology exporter and threaten its regional influence. By invoking Chernobyl, Russia aims to deter Israel and the West, positioning itself as a guardian of nuclear safety. The warning also serves Russia's broader narrative, blaming Western actions for global instability. It's a calculated move in the information war, shifting blame and rallying opinion against further escalation. For Moscow, the stakes are both practical and political. Russia's warning has sent shockwaves through global capitals. The US urges restraint, balancing support for Israel with fears of regional escalation. European leaders echo calls for de-escalation, worried about nuclear safety and economic fallout. China, reliant on Gulf oil, calls for calm and positions itself as a neutral mediator. Gulf Arab states, directly threatened by any radioactive release, are among the loudest voices for diplomacy. The prospect of contamination in the Persian Gulf, vital for water and trade, terrifies the region. Across the board, the message is clear: avoid turning nuclear plants into battlegrounds. The world is united in anxiety, if not in action. The IAEA, the world's nuclear watchdog, is on edge. Inspectors regularly monitor Bushehr, but recent military strikes forced a temporary withdrawal for safety. The IAEA's power is limited. It can monitor and warn, but not enforce peace. If Bushehr is hit, IAEA teams would be vital for assessing and containing radioactive fallout, if they can even access the site. War zones make nuclear safety nearly impossible. The crisis exposes the fragility of global nuclear oversight when missiles start flying. Ultimately, the responsibility for preventing disaster lies with political leaders, not inspectors. The IAEA can sound the alarm, but it cannot stop a war. A strike on Bushehr would unleash catastrophe. This isn't just a hypothetical scenario, it's a nightmare with consequences that would echo far beyond Iran's borders. The Bushehr nuclear power plant, a symbol of civilian energy, could become ground zero for a disaster with no easy fix. Immediate evacuation of Bushehr's 200,000 residents would be just the start. Imagine the chaos, families fleeing in panic, roads clogged with desperate people, emergency services stretched to their limits. The city would empty almost overnight, but the danger wouldn't stop at its borders. Radioactive fallout could spread across Iran and neighboring countries, carried by unpredictable winds. Cities hundreds of miles away could find themselves in the path of invisible poison, causing sickness, cancer, and environmental ruin. Hospitals would be overwhelmed with radiation victims, and entire regions could become uninhabitable for generations. The Persian Gulf's marine life and fishing industries would be devastated. The contamination would wipe out fish stocks, destroy livelihoods, and threaten food security for millions who depend on the sea. Desalination plants, vital for providing fresh water in this arid region, would shut down, triggering a water crisis. Cities and towns could run dry, forcing people to rely on scarce bottled water and humanitarian aid. The economic shock would ripple worldwide. Shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, a lifeline for global oil, could halt. Energy prices would spike, stock markets would tumble, and supply chains could grind to a halt, affecting everything from fuel to food. Cleanup and healthcare costs would soar into the trillions, overwhelming Iran and the world. The sheer scale of the disaster would demand international aid, but even that might not be enough to restore what was lost. The psychological toll, panic, distrust, shattered confidence in institutions, would linger for generations. People would live in fear of invisible threats, and trust in governments and international agreements would erode. A radioactive exclusion zone would scar the region for decades, turning once thriving communities into ghost towns, and serving as a grim reminder of the disaster. Worse, it would set a precedent: nuclear plants as legitimate wartime targets. The world would watch in horror, knowing that no nuclear facility is truly safe in times of conflict. The stakes are global. Nuclear safety everywhere would be at risk. Every country with a nuclear plant would face new fears, and the fragile trust that underpins nuclear energy would be shaken to its core. The world cannot afford to let this line be crossed. Russia's Chernobyl warning has cast a shadow over the Middle East's escalating conflict. Bushehr is safer than Chernobyl, but no plant is safe from war. The risk of a deliberate strike and a radioactive nightmare has never been higher. The world's powers are scrambling for de-escalation, but the IEA can only watch and warn. The choice now lies with leaders in Tehran, Jerusalem, and beyond: escalate or step back from the brink. Protecting nuclear sites must become an unbreakable global norm. The alternative is unthinkable, poisoning the region for generations. The time to act is now, before warnings become reality.